What's going on, guys? Big welcome to you all to our channel. We are Team Crushing the Meta. Today you're here with D-Boy and we are back with another deck profile. So what do you mean, D-Boy? Spike Brothers V in the top 8. I mean, how? How is this possible? In a format where Steam Maidens are a thing, where you need decks that have a draw engine like Messiah to keep up with them. I mean, how could this be? How is this possible? Well, throughout this video, I'll explain to you why the Rising deck is so strong, especially in a format like this. And yeah, this deck could have gotten even further and further, but it was not meant to be. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about the deck, then go through the deck profile, and then go back and explain the cards for you guys. And at the end of the video, I will talk about the reasons, in my opinion, why this deck wasn't able to get a qualifier for Worlds. But hey, still a beautiful top 8 in a year that I wasn't planning on going anyway. But I will take what I get. I will take what I get. A beautiful playmat right here with the logo. And let's talk about the strength of the deck. So normally I'll start with the deck profile, but this I have to start with the strength of the deck. Why is this deck so good, and how could it perform so good in a format of Steam Maidens? Well, first of all, remember guys that we have a card that is named Fiona. And Fiona could actually stop half the combo. After they go for the heal trigger, they attack you with the Great One, that's when you Fiona them, and that's when the combo stops. So that's very important to do. Second thing is, we have a very fast deck. If this deck goes first, you could actually kill them right there and then, because they don't play Heal Guardians, or they play a combination of the Heal Guardians and the other one, so they do really need to have the right cards in hand or hit defensive triggers, otherwise they could die. And most importantly, even if you don't go first, this deck could hit hard and hit fast, and this deck could keep the opponent on low damage and hit them right away at one point with like a strong combo like the max combo. So all of that being said, let's go through the deck, talk about the best version of the deck and how to play a fun version or a strong version out of it. It's pretty much up to you. The strength of this deck is that it's not only consistent, it's also lots of fun to play, it's very flexible, and the flexibility and the consistency make the deck actually the strongest, because you could actually change it around depending on your opponent playstyle. You could do like lots of crazy things depending on how you want the match to go. It's also up to you to choose how fast the game will go. All right, so right here, let's show you the deck. So first of all, for the grade 3s, we play E 4, 3, 2, 1, 2. So what is this? What is this strange lineup, D-Boy? Well, it's actually not that strange. It is not that strange, and I will tell you why. Well, first of all, you need the 4 copies of Exceptional Expertise Rising Nova, right? He is your main right target, he is your best boy. He's the one who makes the Force 1, Force 2 marker, you could just call it Force 3. And he's the one who could give you draw power, because targeting 2 Bull Spikes, you could target Bull Spike and Spiking Cyclone. You could target the Spiking Cyclone and the Max for the Max turn. So you have different options, right? And I will explain to you at the end of the video, or after the deck profile, which options you could go through. But first we will just do a fast deck profile. So 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you play the 2 copies of Juggernaut Maximum. Also explain how Maximum pairs against Skydiver. Yes? Alright. Next, for the grade 2s, we play the 4 copies of Rona, followed up by 4 copies of the Agile Fullback, and then 3 copies of Fiona. This is the competitive build. If you go back to the fun build, then I would rather play 2 Fiona and 1 linebacker. But for the competitive build and the build that I got top 8 with, we play 3 Fionas. Alright, grade 1s, very simple. 4 copies of Acrobat Verdi, as we don't have any other better grade 3 searcher. The 4 copies of the Working Hard, Ambush Dexter, and the 2 copies of Deadly William as a personal favorite of mine, especially in the Max turn. Alright, for the triggers, we play a whopping of 12 draw triggers. So, yeah, 4 draw PGs and basically 8 vanilla draws. You could also put in 7 vanilla draws and 1 crit. If you do so, then you will have your opponent guessing on you playing crits or not, on how many crits you play. So that's also good. And then for the heals, we played Heal Guardians because I don't feel it's necessary to play the vanilla heals, even by having the extra 5k. I would rather have these in the deck, especially because the deck doesn't play lots of crits, so it doesn't have lots of 15k shields. And for the starter, doesn't matter, but we play SP Boy. Running Sniper, I like him more than Mega Trainer because I already play Mega Trainer in Premium. Alright, so that's the deck, right? Very simple, lots of 4-offs, and that's the way you make the deck consistent, in my opinion. Playing the deck competitively is a little bit different than playing it not competitively, as in the mindset that you play. As I said, the deck doesn't have to do lots of damage in the early game because it could still hit your opponent for high damage. You have multiple options that you could play. When it comes to the grade 3s, I will explain them right away. But the ratios, like, you could change them around a little bit if you like, and I will explain how and what you could take out and put in. And in my opinion, when it comes to this deck, you need to play the 4 Rising, of course. I think we all agree with that. Exceptional Expertise Rising Nova on plays, you get Force 1 and Force 2. The second ability is by Soul Blasting 1, it's an act ability. You choose 2 of your grade 3s, he get their skills, their abilities. Then we have the Bull Spike. He has 2 abilities. The first one is when something attacks, you Soul Blast 1 to move the markers to that unit. And then the second ability is once per turn, if an attack does not hit that has markers beneath it, you could retire one of your opponent's triggers and draw a card. Spiking Cyclone, the first ability, during your turn, this unit gets plus 5k for each marker you have. Second ability, on attack on +1 restand, one of your Regards. Then we have Max. Max's first ability doesn't really come in action in this deck because Rising could not target his first ability, or he could, but nothing happens. Because his first ability activates at the start of the main phase, while Rising target him later during the main phase, so after it already started. The first ability is if your opponent's on grade 3, when you place a Reguard, it gets plus 5k power, 5k shield. So that works on a Reguard circle, Guardian circle, whatever circle. It also works on himself, if need be. Then you have the second ability at the end of the battle that this unit attacked. If you have called 4 or more units this turn, you Soul Blast 3, and then you could choose to restand a column. If you restand your middle column, so your Vanguard, then your Vanguard loses Drive check, and at the end of the turn, all of your Regards go to the bottom of your deck. Max. Then we go to the original Juggernaut Maximum. At the start of your main phase, this unit could go into your soul to call a new one out of your deck. When this unit is placed, he gets a plus 10k. That's it, he's just a powerhouse. Alright, ratios. You need 4, right? You need at least 3 because he's also your backup right target and most of your combos resolve having him. Spiking Cyclone, you need him at 2, less than 2, you will not see him, or, I mean, this is your main combo. If you want to play more than 2, you could, but then you have to cut Juggernaut Maximum out as possible. Max, you could play more if you want. You could turn this deck, take out a Bulk Spike to turn it into a Spiking Cyclone and a Max deck. Pretty much up to you. For me, this works somehow, and I like to keep it this way. And the maximum, you at least want to play 2. If you want to play less, then you would rather play Skydiver. Skydiver is good in the late game, but less good in the early game, because in the early game, this still hits high numbers and give you soul. Well, Skydiver actually becomes less good because the opponent in the early game, when you place him, you don't have normal units to return back to your deck, But the good thing about Skydiver is in the late game he could return the right card back to your deck, so you could still call more, but timing is a little bit strange. So again, this worked the best for me. Alright, I will go into the grade 2s and then come back and show you a small combo of the deck. And after this video, I will show you a combo video. But I will at least show you fast how the deck work a little bit. So for the grade 2s, we have the 4 copies of Rona. You could take out Rona to put Ronaldo in the deck if you want. So Ronaldo work very good, but Rona has a important fact that her second ability is if she's in the same column as a grade 3, she gets boost. And her boosting Rising during your max turn is actually way more effective sometimes than having the agile fallback behind your behind your Vanguard. So again, I will explain and show it to you later. The first ability is when placed on Vanguard Vanguard count +1, you call one grade 3 from your deck to Vanguard Circle, and that's also give you the consistency to get the right grade 3s. Then we have Agile Fallback. The first ability is at the beginning of your main phase. Our second ability at the beginning of your main phase, he goes into your soul and you call a new one. If this card is superior called, it gets plus 10k if it's superior called behind the Vanguard. If this card is called, superior called, or placed from hand, doesn't matter. If it's in the back row sent to rearguard, so behind your Vanguard, it could attack from the back row. So it's very simple. You call it in the early games, just a 10k, you attack with it, and then at the beginning of your next turn, go to your soul, you get a new one, then it gets a 10k because it's superior called. If you call it with Dexter, it also gets the 10k as long as you call it in the right rearguard circle. Then we have the 3 copies of Fiona. So this card is insane, right? She's really good, very effective card. And yeah, so what it does, if this unit is placed to rearguard or put on Guardian Circle, the wording is very important. You soul +1, you choose one of any player's rearguard, and that unit gets extra 10k. Then it cannot pay the cost for its auto ability. So basically, it could just say to your opponent like, yo, you get a 10k and then you cannot use your auto ability anymore. It's very effective. It's good against Steam Maidens. It's good against Shadows like Luard. It's good against different decks. It's even good against Spikes if needed. And then, if playing competitive setting, then you play the 3 copies of her, or maybe even more if you want, especially in a Steam Maiden format. But for me, I sometimes also like to play a linebacker, as in a fun card, as in a one-off. Linebacker is almost the same as fullback, but he's a little bit different. Linebacker has his first ability, as long as he's in the same column as a grade 3, he could attack from and intercept from the back row. So it's very good, especially in the early game. The second ability is for a counter blast of 1, soul blast of 1 when this unit attacks. You could give him an extra 5k for every marker you have. So it could become a huge powerhouse if needed, if you have the resources to pay for it. But again, it's not needed that much, but I just like it in a any fun setting. And Fiona is a card that I really like a lot, but more competitively. I just dislike using this against friends because it sometimes just takes the fun out of it. Alright, grade 1's actually very simple. First, the Acrobat Verdi at 4. It's your grade 3 searcher, and I wish we had a better grade 3 searcher in this deck, but we don't. So his first ability is if something is superior called this turn, he gets the 5k, and the second ability is just on place, check top 5, get a grade 3 to your hand, and put the others to your deck, shuffle your deck, and discard a card from your hand. It's good because it also could search Heal Guardian if needed. The 4 copies of Ambush Dexter. I think the most hard-working card in the deck. This card could fix whatever you have in your hand. This card could make it or break it for you and for this deck. What he does is the first ability, if you ride him, so place as Vanguard, you discard a card and draw 1. If needed, discard your draws, quick shields, whatever. Then the second ability is when this unit is placed on regular circle, you count +1, put a grade 2 or higher card from your rearguard to your soul, and then you call 2 cards with the same grades from your deck to rearguard circle. It's very important that he could make you grade 2s, could make you grade 3s, could make you whatever you're missing. So again, a very important card to have in the deck. 2 copies of Dudley William. The first ability is if you ride on the top of him, he comes out of your soul. The second ability is when this unit boosts, at the end of the battle it boosts. It could go into your soul and you could move all of your force marker to another unit you have on the field. It's very, very, very good, especially in the max turn, which I will show you later. The triggers, we could talk about them, but again, the reason why I play so many draws is because you play Force 2, and because you play Force 2, you could control the amount of damage your opponent gets. Sometimes you don't move the markers to your Vanguard, and that's when this could become active, good, strong, necessary. But throughout the tournament, the funny thing is that when I played this card, I had to damage check it twice in a Swiss of 7 rounds and a top 8. So in 8 games, I saw it twice in my damage as a first or a second damage. It's still good because your opponent would see that you have it in the damage, so they would think, they play crits. So that's the effect that it has. And if your opponent thinks they don't play crits and you drive check it, then they lose. So in my opinion, it's good to play at least 1. You could also just play 2, up to you. But you could also play 0 if you want. I think it's up to you. And that's it for the deck, right? So now we talk a little bit about the grade 3s. I will leave the others aside. We talk about the grade 3s and I show you a fast combo, and then you will have to wait till next video where I will show you the combo. So you have Rising Nova, right? Very simple. Let's say you ride first into Verdi, then you ride into... you go first, you ride into Verdi, then it's their turn, they attack you, you take a damage. Let's say you take this, so this is your damage. And then you ride into Rona, you activate Rona's ability. Rona's ability will get you something like a maximum to the field, and then you have a Panther in your hands, you call Panther to the field. That's perfect, right? So you attack, and then this gets a 10k and attacks, and then at the end of the battle, then it's their turn. Let's say they attack you, you take 2 damage, and then it's your turn. You stand and you draw, you ride into this, you give the double marker, these 2 will go to your soul, you will create 2 new ones. Let's put the double markers on the field. So we have this, and we have this. Alright, so right here you will also get the new Panther to the field, and the Panther will get 10k. And let me get the powers up. Alright, so he loves his white die, and this boy wants the orange one, right? So right here you have options. You could go into a double bull spike, which will give you lots of draw power, but normally the combo you go into is a spiking cyclone and a bull spike. If you go for spiking cyclone and a bull spike, then you want to do it like this, and then you have another attacker on this side. So normally you would just move the bull spike up, right? So that's how you do it. And then you use the skill of him. So you soul blast your starter, because it's not an hour soul. So you will soul blast the starter, and then you target these 2, which will give you a rising, the extra 10k, because he targets the spiking cyclone. Spiking cyclone give him 10k for every marker. The attack with this is only 15k shield, which you want them to guard. Then you soul blast and you move the markers to your fullback. You attack with your fullback with the 30. Again, they guard. If they don't, then you could still choose to retire and draw, or wait until this attack. Then you soul blast 1 more and you move the markers to this side. You attack with the Juggernaut with 33 and force 2, of course. And then you attack with Rising, activate the skill of Spiking Cyclone, counter +1, restand the Juggernaut. Now you don't have to Soul Blast to move the markers. You could just leave it as it is. Why? Because you will leave more soul for next turn, right? Because you want more soul. Now right here, if your opponent will guard, no guard, depending up to them, and then you attack with this. And then, yeah, that's it. That's the end of your turn. All right. So this is just the normal combo you go into. You attack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times. 4 of those 5 have the force 2, and your Vanguard still hits with the pressure of having a drive check, so normally they would guard it as well. You leave your counterblast, you leave 2 soul, it's their turn. Let's say they taken this out, they leave your Juggernaut on the field, or they take it out, doesn't matter. You don't have any Juggernaut left, and then it's your turn. So you also, let's say, take a damage or 2. So let's say you take 2 damage, you're chilling on 5, right? You love taking damage in this deck. So you chill on 5. And again, guys, next video, I will show you the combo. So there will be a separate video for the combo, but I wanted to show you something fast. All right, so you start your turn. Now you want to ride into another rising. If you do, then it's perfect. If you don't, it's fine, but it's better to ride, of course, because you create more market. So you ride into rising, and now you create another force 2, and this force 2 will go to the Vanguard because you will go into max. And then you create a force 1 as well, but the force 1 will go on this side. Right? So, or this side, but the side who already has the markers. So you put them right here. Now the agile fullback will go into your soul and you get a new one, right? So you get a new agile fullback, and the agile fullback get the power yet again. Alright, right here the Juggernaut could go into your soul to just give you more soul. If you have a Juggernaut left in your deck, you could call it. So let's say you delay the turn. So last turn you didn't call a Juggernaut, or on the first turn with Rona you didn't call a Juggernaut, but you called a Bull Spike or whatever. Now you could call a Juggernaut out of your deck. If that's the case, then you would have 1 less soul. Actually 2 less soul because of last turn. But let's say that you have 2 less soul, so you have only 3 soul, right? So what you do right here is you could now call something like a Dexter, and the Dexter will fix your field. So you could call a Dexter, and the Dexter will make you the max and the Spiking Cyclone, or the Juggernaut and the Spiking Cyclone, depend. Let's say that you have a Heal Guardian on hand. You call the Heal Guardian, you call Dexter, you counterblast 1, you put the Heal Guardian into your soul, and then you call 2 Grade 3s out of your deck. You could do that. It's again pretty much up to the hand that you have. So you call a max, and you call a max. The max right here will get, of course, the extra 10k, right? You're good to go. Now you could activate the ability of Rising to use Soul Blast 1, and you target these 2, and then you have the 3 soul left in your deck. You could do that. If, let's say, for an example, you already had a maximum on the field, so you still have a extra card in your soul, and you didn't use the counterblast, so you still have a counterblast left, and so you have your field looking like this. And now you could Dexter into a you could call the Dexter right here, right? And you could activate the Ambush Dexter to put this into your soul if you don't have a Heal Guardian or whatever, and then you could call the max and the Spiking Cyclone out of your deck, like this. It's also possible. Again, depending on what you have in your hand, and now you activate the skill of Rising to target these 2. But sometimes you already have the max in your hand, so you don't have to Dexter, you don't have to counterblast, you don't have to do whatever. So you only call Dexter, and then you activate the skill of Rising, you Soul Blast 1, and then you target these 2. You will always be left with the 3 soul in this case, which is good. And now in this case, you still could make the Dexter play. So what you do is you call Dexter, you could put the Agile fullback into your soul, counterblast 1, and then you could call 2 options out of your deck. You could call a Fiona, you could call a Agile fullback, and you could call a Rona. The Agile fullback will give you an extra attack, so if your opponent is chilling on 5 damage, the Agile fullback is better. But if your opponent is chilling on 4 damage, sometimes the Rona is better. Or you want to hit them so that they don't miracle heal. It's also up to you. The Rona will give you 2 times the 10k, which means that your Vanguard will become even stronger. But in the most situations, having the Agile fullback is better. And then, of course, you call the Fiona, and you could call it right here. So you call the Fiona there, and then you activate the Fiona's ability to Soul Blast 1, in this case, and you could give your maximum 10k more power, and then you could switch those. You could let this go, and then you could call this, or in a normal setting you will just call it right here, which I'll explain why. So this is how your field look like. Your attack pattern will be just the 20k first. Normally they would just guard this because it's just I think a shield, and they think maybe take this one later on, or they would be like, you know what, I will take this and hope for a trigger. Again, pretty much up to them, pretty much up to the way that you want to play it. If they have 3 damage, then you want to do this because you want to hit them for 1. If they have 4 damage, you could think about letting them miracle heal, or if that's the case, then you call a Rona. But if you be like, just I want to make more attacks, then you do it just this way. It's fine. Right, so you attack with this, and then you will attack with your Juggernaut. Never boosted. So 10, 20, 30, 40, and that's 53. Easy. Then you attack with the Rising, activate the skill, Spiking Cyclone, count +1, restands. Drive check. Let's say you get E Dexter and E Draw Trigger. The Draw Trigger power right here will of course go to your Juggernaut. And then you draw a card, of course. At the end of the battle, you still Soul Blast 3, and you restand your middle column. Right here, this could attack again or leave it for later, but normally you would just attack with it. So you attack, it still hits at least the Vanguard or whatever, and then you attack with this. Now it's 30, 40, 50, 63. Attack with the Rising. Don't forget that the Rising also gets power, of course, because of the skill of Spiking Cyclone. So this is 33, and with the Rona would be 43. You attack, you activate the skill yet again of Spiking Cyclone because not once per turn to restand this, and then you drive check. You have 1 drive check, so you do. If you get the power, you could still give it to the Juggernaut or give it to this side. Normally, you would just give it to this side. So let's get a trigger, give it to her or him, up to you. And then you attack with this. So 21, 31, 51, 61, 71, 81. Insane, right? That's crazy. 21, 31, 41, 51, 61, 71. And then at the end of the battle, this goes into your soul, which is good because it gives you soul for the Fiona you have in your hand. And then you move all the markers to this side. Don't forget the marker chilling beneath your finger. And then you attack with this. This 10, 20, 30, 40, 48 with 2 damage. And this is basically the combo you do if you go max. If you don't go max, you could still hit them hard with this second attack of the Spiking Cyclone and the Bull Spike, because Spiking Cyclone Bull Spike combo will also become stronger and stronger each time you ride. And then the way you normally do it, if you go that route, so you still have some soul left, and you will have your if you still have your max, so you have your, I mean the maximum, if you have him right here chilling, you give him the power and you give the marker there. This gets to the field, gets the 10k, and of course your field will have a Bull Spike and a Spiking Cyclone, like this. And now you have some counterblasts left. Let's say you used one to Dexter. That's possible. And then of course you give Fiona in the hands. So right here, what you want to do is you want to attack with this first, and then this get the extra 20k. Then you attack with this, and then you activate the ability. So you counterblast 1, you restand him, and now you have 2 attacks that attack with a force 2. You drive check, and then you give the power to this side or this side. Don't have to give it to him because he's already very strong. You attack with him, and normally you have behind your Juggernaut the linebacker chilling. If you play the linebacker, again, as I said, he's a fun card. But if you play him, you will have him chilling right here. Then you attack with this. So 1, 2, 3 attacks without moving the markers. And then on the 4th attack, you'll be soul blasting 1 and then moving the markers to this. You attack with him, right? So this is 40. And then up to amount of soul you have left, you could again soul blast 1 more to move the markers to this side, and then you could activate his ability, counter blast, soul blast. If needed, you could make him even stronger, give him an extra 20k. Remember that this will move as well. And then you could soul blast 1 more to move all the markers right here, and this could attack. So depending on how much soul you want to leave, how much resources you want to eat up with him, up to you. It's pretty much all up to you. But again, this is like the small combo on how to play the deck a little bit. The deck is very, very, very strong. The starting hand needs sometimes any grade 1 is a good right target. Having a Rona on hand is good because it gives you the flexibility, but if you don't have it, it's fine. It doesn't really make that big of a difference. As long as you have the Panther, you're good to go. So you ride into whatever, then you ride into Panther, then you're good to go. Ronaldo is a good card, as I said, because it gives you soul, and it could call you Panthers, could call you good cards. Even draw triggers is fine to call. And that is actually it. I would like to thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tuning in our channel. I hope that you guys enjoyed this deck profile. I hope that you guys enjoyed seeing Spike in the top 8 again. And as I said, this deck deserves higher than the top 8. It deserves a qualifier for Worlds, but I wasn't lucky enough to get there. I mean, having to experience 4 heals on the top of each other for the opponent, so a multiple miracle heal, having the chance to experience, like during your max turns, that the opponent, from the 2 damage they could take, gets a double draw trigger or something like that, and from the draw into a sentinel crit. Like, I have experienced some really insane unlucky things during this season. It's not an excuse or something. It's just like I haven't experienced that in the past. So I really think that maybe it was just not meant to be. And yeah, if it's not meant to be, then it's not meant to be. Then it's not up to me to change that. For now, I'm very happy with how the deck performed. I'm very happy with how the deck is put together. For the grade 1 lineup, you could add a grade 1 and take out the linebacker. Because the linebacker is not necessary in this deck. You can take it out to play whatever. I maybe will take it out to just play an extra copy of Ronaldo. I feel like he could be a very good extra right target. And again, Fiona, you could, if you play competitive setting, play at least the 3 copies of Fiona, because she's very good offensively and defensively. If you want to change the deck around to make it more of a max rising deck, you could do that, of course. For me, I feel like this deck is just more fun and more flexible, and that's the way I like to build my deck. Alright guys, thank you all for watching. Thank you for tuning in on our channel. Again, I hope that you guys learned something from this video. I hope that you guys are happy with the beautiful top 8 we got in this deck. We had multiple top 8s when it comes to Spike Wheelers in Premium this tournament, but nobody ever expected the Spike Brothers will have a top in V Premium. V Premium. That's insane, right? Insane. Again, thank you guys. Until next time.